Greetings. It's now the end of what I think maybe day 12, could even be day 13, not too sure. Anyway, where am I? I'm in a campsite. It's probably about 50 kilometres north of Bari in Italy. So, as you know from last night, we got turned back at Montenegro, and Tom suggested I was going to drive all the way up to Trieste and across to Venice, and Tom suggested there may be a ferry, so we went in and booked a ferry there and then, and 2 hours later we were on the ferry heading for Italy to Bari, which was where we were originally meant to go anyway. So we're kind of picking up the route we should have been on, having missed out Albania and Montenegro. And after the kind of gross day yesterday, I had a bit of an easy one. Plus, I mean, I slept better on the ferry than I thought I would. We slept on the floor with a quilt and some pillows from the van. That's an advantage of having a van. You've always got bedding with you. But basically, woken up very early by all the people milling around. It was nice watching us come into the harbour in Bari. I always like voyaging on ships. I mean, that was way too short, but I love a good sea voyage, and that was pleasant. And there was a nice array of passengers. There was loads of priests, and I'm guessing they were all going from Medjugorje back to Italy. There was also 2 members of the Ukrainian Deaf Olympics team, and I saw them with these Ukraine get up on, and I thought, are you just overly patriotic, or are you some kind of sports people? And then as we were kind of going into the harbour, I saw them communicate with each other, and they were actually mouthing the words but not saying anything, and using gestures. And I'm like, that's a bit weird. And then I saw on the side, it's Deaf Olympics. I'm like, wow, the Ukrainian Deaf Olympics team. I don't know what they did in the Olympics, but it's quite cool. It's kind of, you meet some really strange people on a ship, I suppose. Anyway, we got into Bari, and that was quite hassle-free. We did a park and ride, and had a good explore of the old town, which was really refreshingly free of tourists after Croatia. I'm going to say, Croatia's nice, but it was too hot, too hassly, and way too many tourists, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. I thought that would be the highlight of my trip, and actually it wasn't, because there was just too much hassle, just way too many tourists. In both Split and Zadar, it is what it is, I suppose. But yeah, there were none in Bari, and the centre was lovely. But the highlight for me was we went to the Church of Saint Nicholas, which is where the remains of Saint Nicholas were brought in. I think it was about the 14th century from Turkey. I think some local sailors nicked them, but I think they were a bit worried that the Muslims might get them. And they were brought to Bari and this housed in this fantastic church. And so I'd wanted to see that because I'd read a book which is the history of Santa Claus, and looking at the original St. Nicholas and all the kind of guises he went through to get to the modern day Santa Claus. And I'd read about this church and how it had brought great fame and wealth to Bari, which was, of course, the main reason for relics. And so it was great to actually go and visit it. But what was amazing, and it was a beautiful Norman church, but the crypt is used by the Orthodox. And when we were there was an Orthodox Mass going on, and hundreds of Russians in there. And of course, St. Nicholas is very important in the Orthodox Church. He's very highly venerated. I know this from when I was in Bulgaria. And he's connected to the sea somehow, which is a bit weird for a bishop who lived in a landlocked city. But there was all these Russians there, and it was I love the Orthodox Mass. I find it so beautiful, and I was actually in tears during this Mass. I thought it was so beautiful, and we got a blessing from the Orthodox priest, which was great. And And then we went on and explored the rest of the town, which is a little reminiscent of Corfu town, I thought. We had a pleasant enough meal. They also have great Wi-Fi here, so I managed to upload all my photos and contact people, ring them, and also do a lot of work on my videos, which had kind of got really behind. So that's nice. There won't be so much to do when I get home. And then we drove up the coast. Now, Italy has two kinds of motorways. There's the motorways you pay for, which I think I'm going to avoid unless I have to go on them. And then there's the ones you don't pay for, which are pretty crap, actually. I mean, they are pretty awful. But they're fast. So, so we went on the motorway a bit up the coast. Then actually took the coast road through a couple of towns. Then on the free motorway again. And then we've ended up where we are now. I have to say, this is the poorest place, or it looks the poorest place that we've been so far, including Croatia and, and also it's noticeably scrappy, it's noticeably scruffy. The roads are the worst, the driving's the worst. People are very friendly, mind. But yeah, what a dump of a coastline. And there's some pretty horrible towns. And apart from the historic calls, they're all pretty gross. But the historic calls are gorgeous, and there's so much history here. One thing that I've noticed is, like, all the way along the road, there were these kind of, well, I don't even know what they are. They were kind of these circular things with several steps, almost like a circular ziggurat, but small, probably about 3-4 meters high, perhaps. No, 5 meters high, perhaps. And I don't know what they are. Are they ovens? Are they ancient tombs? But they're everywhere. They're obviously important in some way. Anyway, we went through these towns looking for a camping place by the sea. Didn't find any. Went to a Lidl, got some bits and pieces that we needed. And then I saw a sign for a thermal baths place. So, you know what we're like with the thermal baths. So I turned up for there. And then, but we didn't get to the thermal baths because I saw a sign for a camping place, which is where I am now. And this camping place, it's a bit of a chav central for Italians, if we're honest. It's not that nice in terms of the setting. It's very cramped, they all seem to be. But it's got electric, so for the very first time we've actually hooked the van up to the electric, which is a first for us. And we've got the little telly working in the back of the van, and it's on the coast, so Tom's had a swim, and it's got washing facilities, and that's the main reason why we came, because basically Tom had run out of clothes a while back. We washed a load of clothes in the lake in Slovenia, but then never had a chance to dry them, so they were smelling disgusting. And we needed to re-wash them and then actually properly dry them, and so they're all drying there now. They're not quite dry, but they're more or less dry. And so we're now with the locals on a it's called, we were meant to be in America. This is called Miami Beach, apparently, by Franco. Miami Beach by Franco. I assume Franco was a very friendly guy who showed us in, but it isn't quite how I imagine Miami Beach to be, if I'm honest. But you know what? It's nice and relaxing. I've chilled out here. I've read my book. I'm reading The Cellist of Sarajevo. It's an absolutely incredible novel, and I'm really glad I'm reading it now, having just popped in and out of Bosnia, and it's reminding me of Sarajevo. And we've just dined on bread and cheese and salami. And I'm having a bit of wine, and it's all very pleasant and nice in this balmy Italian evening. Tomorrow we're meant to be going to a pilgrimage place for Saint Michael the Archangel, and then I believe there's not a great deal to see up the coast for the next 200-300 kilometres until we get towards Umbria. But yeah, here we are. Until then, enjoy Miami Beach.